ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Words of the Master. Selected precepts of Sri Ramakrishna, compiled by Swami Brahmananda. Topic: Different stages of man. Man is like a pillowcase. The color of one pillowcase may be red, that of another black, and so on. But all contains the same cotton. So it is with men. One is handsome, another is ugly, a third pious, a fourth wicked. But the Divine One dwells within them all. One meets with two classes of men. The nature of one resembles that of the winnowing fan, and of the other that of the sieve. Just as winnowing basket rejects the useless, that is husk, and keeps the useful, that is grain, so there is one class of men who rejects what is worthless, that is gold, lust, etc., and accepts the Lord, who alone is worth having. Again, as the sieve rejects the finer part of substance and keeps the coarser, so there is another class of men who rejects what alone is worth having and instead accept gold, lust, etc. The mind of the worldly is like the beetle. The beetle loves to live in cow dung. It doesn't like any other substance. It will feel very uneasy if you force it into a fragrant lotus. Similarly, the worldly minded do not care of anything else except a talk about worldly things. They will leave the place where people are found talking about God, matters of spiritual, and find peace by betaking themselves to a place where idle gossip is going on. As when fishes are caught in a net, some do not struggle at all, but remain calm in the net. Some again struggle hard to come out of the net, but fail in the attempt, while a third set actually effect their escape by rending the net. So there are three classes of men in the world: the bound, that is baddha; the struggling, that is mumukshu; and the release, that is mukta. A fisherwoman on her way home was overtaken by a storm at nightfall. So she took refuge in a florist's house. The florist received her very kindly and allowed her to pass the night on the porch adjoining the room in which he kept his flowers. But although thus comfortably lodged, she could not get a wink of sleep. At last she discovered that the sweet aroma of the flowers in the garden was what had kept her awake. She therefore sprinkled some water on her empty basket of fish and placed it close to her nose. In a short time she fell into sound sleep. Similarly, in the case with the worldly minded, they too relish nothing but the foul smell of the putrid things of the world. By talking with a worldly man, one can feel that his heart is filled with worldly thoughts and desire, just as one can feel that the corp of a young pigeon is full of grains. Worldliness is what men of this order care about. They do not like to hear religious discourses. If a person has eaten radishes, the smell of his eructations will betray the fact. Similarly, if you meet with a pious man, he will presently begin to talk on a spiritual subject. On the other hand, a worldly man will talk about only worldly things. There are two kinds of flies. One is the honeybee that sucks honey only. The other not only sucks honey but will prefer to sit on an unclean shore when it gets the opportunity. So, with men, those who love God cannot talk on any other theme but God, while those that are attached to things of the world at once jump into a conversation about lust and gold. Should such be started, discarding the words of God which they had been listening to? The characteristics of a thoroughly worldly man is that he does not only listen to hymn, religious discourses, praises of the Almighty, etc., but also prevent others from hearing them and abuse religion and religious men and scoff at those who meditate upon God. The alligator has such a thick skin that no weapon can pierce it. So, how much soever you may preach religion to a worldly man, it will have no effect upon his heart. The sun's light falls equally on all surfaces, but only bright surface like water, mirrors, and polished metal can reflect it more. In like manner, although God abides in all, he manifests himself more in the hearts of the pious. A number of cakes may have the same look, but may be stuffed with different ingredients. Example, some may contain the kernel of coconut, some other sweet condensed milk, that is shira, and so on. Similarly, though all human bodies are made of the same material, yet men differ from one another owing to the different in their qualities. All water is Narayana, God, but every kind of water is not fit to drink. Similarly, though it is true that the Almighty dwells in every place, yet every place is not fit to be visited. As one kind of water may be used for washing your feet, another for rinsing your mouth, and a third may be drunk, while a certain other again may not even be touched. Even so, some places are fit to be visited, some only to be saluted from a distance and bidden goodbye, and so on. True is that God dwells even in the tiger, but we must not go and face the animal. So, it is true that God dwells even in the most wicked, but it is not meant that we should associate with them. A certain guru, spiritual guide, taught his disciple that every created thing was Narayana, God, and the disciple took him as his word. One day, the disciple met an elephant on the street. The animal was advancing towards him, and the driver, that is Mahut, was shouting, "Move away, move away." The disciple argued in his mind, "Why should I move away? I am Narayana, so is the elephant. What fear has Narayana from himself?" Thinking thus, he did not move. At the last, the elephant took him up in his trunk and dashes him aside. He was hurt severely, and going back to his master, he related the whole adventure. The Guru said, "Well said, my son, you are Narayana, and so is the elephant. But why did you not pay heed to the warning of the Mahut Narayana, driver god, who had asked you to move away?" The anger of the good is like a line which is drawn on the surface of water and which soon disappears. A Brahmana's son is no doubt a Brahmana by birth, but some born of Brahmanas grows up into learned scholars. Some become priests, others turn out of cooks. Some others, yet again, roll themselves in dust in front of a courtesan's door. Gold is distinguished from brush by the touchstone. Similarly, human nature, whether one is sincere or insincere, is tested by God. Men are of two classes: man in name only, that is Manush, and conscious men, that is Manhush. Those alone who thirst after God belong to the latter class. Those that are made after lust and gold are all ordinary men. Nothing will rouse up the worldly minded. They suffer from no end of pain and trouble in this life. Still, they do not get any the wiser. Just think of the camel. It is fond of thorns and will not abstain from eating them, blood trickling down its mouth notwithstanding. Similarly, the worldly minded do not take to heart even a great bereavement, and in a few days feel and act as if nothing had happened. Beware of the following. Number 1. Of him whose words flow like water. Number 2. Of him the door of whose heart is sealed. Number 3. Of the devotee who shows off to the world his devotion by the sacred tulsi leaf stuck on the ear. Number 4. Of the woman who wear a long veil. Number 5. Of the tank covered with weeds, the cold water of which is so injurious to the health. ॐ निरञ्जनं नित्यमनन्तरूपं भक्तानुकम्पाधृतविग्रहं वै ईशावतारं परमेशमिड्डं त्वं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामः।